Okay.
Hi everyone, Donna Behite here. Today I am speaking with David Parish, and he is the career-based intervention teacher and coordinator for our school districts here in Medina County. So, hi David, welcome.
Well, you too, Donna. Good to see you.
Now, can you explain who you work with and your contracts and and how things work in the school district with your intervention coordinating position?
Well, I'm a teacher at Buckeye local schools,
Okay,
but I am funded by the Medina County Career Center.
gotcha.
And I provide services for at-risk students.
Okay,
Now, my students, to qualify for my program, which used to be called Occupational Work Experience, OWE, that's what most people would know it as, is or work study, is if they are deficient in credit for their grade, letter grade. And I teach 11th and 12th grade.
okay,
And if they're deficient in a core subject such as English, history, science, or math, they're behind at least 1 year. They have attendance issues, free and reduced lunch, or just in general at risk from graduating. These are students that are just not, their environment usually is not conducive to graduating. They just don't like school or have barriers to graduation. And that's the bottom line for my program.
so
And go ahead.
sorry. So with the COVID-19 and schools shutting down, and these kids were at risk to begin with, for graduation. How has this affected you and your teaching, and how has it affected the students and the learning? I mean, I would think that it would be rather difficult for their accessibility to the tech that's needed, and maybe the time. What have you seen out there?
It's been very difficult. My relationships with the students is the number one thing, because they need an adult relationship. And if I'm not there physically every day to help them, we lose that. And I can't have that personal with them to influence them. It makes it very difficult. I've tried class times every time from 8 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock at night to try to get them to come. Most of them have a way to get on the internet. A few don't, but they can go to public places. Like one student lives near Medina Square, so they goes up to the gazebo, and does that. A few have those ability, but it makes it very difficult. So I don't see them that often. But most of the students have, a phone or have a way to get online in one way or another at this age group. Like I said, I have those that are 17, 18 years old for the most part. So they have that, and they're working. All of my students were working prior to the coronavirus, so they had cash, had money, so they had phones and so forth. So that was not as big of an obstacle.
Well, I would think that doing homework on your phone would be rather difficult. I
Oh,
mean,
it was difficult for them before doing homework and in the
right,
home environment because it was the last priority.
right,
If it wasn't done at school, it wasn't done. Usually, if it went home, they had to take care of a younger sibling. They had to, whatever, they had other things to take care of at home that were much more important than school.
right.
So yeah, now it's just compounded. Plus, their kids to get up before 11 o'clock in the morning is really, really hard. And that was one of the things I tried to motivate them to do, is get up earlier and get started with their day instead of sleeping and stay up all night. And that was one of the biggest things I was trying to do.
Yeah, well, especially with that age group. I mean, my
Yes.
youngest is 20, and he still struggles with up all night and sleep all day. And now, so you teach the children. Is it just the Buckeye schools, or is it
Yeah.
Medina all across the county? I mean, is it also in
No,
Brunswick?
just Buckeye. And the coordination comes in where I teach um, I teach a double period every day, but it's also about coordination of their work habits, their work too. And I that's the coordination part. I coordinate their work and I coordinate with their employers and how they go about that. My theme is you only know what you know. And my job is to expose them to things they would not know. I mean, that's education, to expose them beyond what they would normally know at home and to educate them. And my focus is always financial and communication, those two things, and then broaden that out from there. And
So, what type of work? What types of work do you help these kids?
well, if they're less than 18, we start with usually service work. Be it at a grocery store, be it at a fast food. In fact, McDonald's is one of the best starting places they can work. They have professional management. The management knows how to work with kids. And the management there is very professional and knows how to do that and how to schedule and how to work. And they don't abuse the kids and so forth. I'm very, very happy and other teachers that teach what I do are always very happy with McDonald's. Some of the other places, if you work there a month, you're making an assistant manager, and that's not what we want. We want them to learn. We want them to learn skills and how to work with others and how to communicate and how to be prompt and so forth. And those are the things, those basic skills, and that's things. That's the important things. And like I said, I teach communication, how to get along with others and so forth, and how to communicate in the workplace, the soft skills that all employers look for. And then I teach them financial skills that they get nowhere else. In fact, I base mine a lot on Dave Ramsey and then Dale Carnegie, which is, those salesman type things, and how to get along with people. And then other things. I just base those on those two things plus others. And then it's amazing what you can do with those two things, and then going outward from there.
Well, personally, I think that financial should be taught a little bit more just in regular school. I mean, I met my husband. That was my financial education. He's a finance major. Oh, thank goodness, because I learned that money wasn't just for earning and spending. You have to save it, you have to budget, and you have to look at your future and 401s and just a variety of things that just learning a little bit of that at school would have probably done me a lot of good earlier on. Let's put it that way.
In fact, now I always talk about having an emergency fund and so forth. And now after this last couple months, they'll listen to me now. At least for a couple of years, they'll listen to me about the importance of having an emergency fund, and then it'll go away again. But they'll listen to me, and I always put up, I have this and how much money, and I always put up my savings accounts and how I do it, and they look at you like you're a little bit nuts. But now they'll listen and they'll understand why it's so important instead of living paycheck to paycheck, and how to do that. So this has a good side to it, but unfortunately the lesson's going to be hard.
So what has been the participation rate for these kids? I mean, what do you see? I mean, I know you said it was hard before. I mean, have you lost a couple here and there? I mean, is it?
Yes. About a quarter of the kids I have gotten almost nothing from. About 1/4. Others have come to my class, the class almost every time, 2 or 3. The later the class, the better. The one that I had at 8 o'clock at night, I had 8, 10 kids, but I was too tired to deal with all that energy and all that communication. I mean, all that fun and everything. It was too much for me to keep having it at 8 o'clock at night. So I had to back it back down to at least a reasonable 11, 12 o'clock in the morning or so forth. And I had less kids, but I couldn't, I'm just sorry to say, I couldn't control it, and I didn't have the energy to do it. And I'm not there physically to control it either.
Yeah. That's what I worry about out in the community right now, is the affordability for a lot of these kids, the accessibility, having the technology, and the social support and the structure that physical school actually gives to a lot of these students. And I do worry that coming into the fall, even with a staggered kind of, there's so many different plans kind of roaming around and being discussed, staggered school days, longer days, where you've got time in the middle for them to clean classes, and just a whole variety of ways and situations that I think we're going to continue to lose, especially this group of children and kids, moving into the fall. I do worry about that.
It'll be totally not good. I guess it just will not be good for my situation. I need to build rapport and relationship, and I need to win them over and show them I care.
Yeah.
So they'll
Trust you.
So they'll trust me, and they'll tell me things, and they'll work for me. Else I cannot be successful.
Right.
That is the most important thing I can do. And if once they trust me and they'll work for me, I can get them graduated. If I cannot build that trust and in that relationship, I can't be successful. That's the number one thing I need to do. And if I don't have that constant contact and that building, I won't be able to be nearly as successful.
So going into the fall, do you see, I talked to the superintendents, but everybody is still working on their plans. Have you heard anything that's going on for reopening maybe in the fall? Do you know anything?
No, we don't know anything other than financially. We're going to be, our district has always been on the edge financially. We are not a wealthy district. We've been trying to add a few things, to be a little bit more, but this will be the third time. In 2000, 2001, we cut busing, and we've never really brought it back for the high school. In 2008 or 9, we cut a bunch of teachers, custodial staff, and so forth. We never brought a lot of it back. We've been bringing it slowly back. But in fact, we're just getting back maybe 10 years later. We're just getting back to about where we were. And we're going to be cutting back as much or more than we did 10 years ago. And we lost about $500,000. So we're always right on the edge. And we're our school district. So it's hard to say. In fact, my position was cut because the school funded it, not the Career Center. And mine was cut about 9 years ago, and it was for 5 years, six years. There was no, my position wasn't available, and then the Career Center started funding it about 4 years ago.
Well, $300 million out of our school budget in 2 months is
right.
That's devastating, especially.
And and next year there could be even more. So
even worse, exactly. And yeah, we desperately need to fix the school funding system for sure. Okay. Well, on that note.
Good luck on that one. Good luck on that one.
Well, it's been unconstitutional for over 25 years, and I think it's
right.
time that our legislature steps up and actually fixes the problem instead of kicking the can further down the road. Because until somebody stands up and says enough is enough, right, and actually put some real plans together and not shell gaming it, from place to place, then that's what we need to get done for sure. Well, David, thank you very much for your time this morning, and thank you for sharing, what you're doing for our children in the school district, and especially trying to help the ones who are most in need. So we appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for having me on.
All right. Well, you stay safe out there, and tell Janie I said hi, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.